think after my band breaks, I always need a cooler. Okay. There you are.
Here's another song, another story about being out and communicating with the creatures of nature. My dog, whose name is Doug, and myself, we went for this picnic. And we often don't go on picnics, but we decided, let's go out in nature, set up our food on the ground with a blanket, and do what normal people do. And that's a really good idea, Thomas. I'll buy a really nice bottle of wine, and you buy some of the finest dog biscuits that money can buy. And we agreed, and we went out and we did this. We set up our picnic. It was beautiful by a river, and suddenly Doug was looking at me really funny, and he said, I said, what's wrong with you, Doug? And he goes, what's wrong with you? You got a funny mustache. I don't have a mustache. I rubbed my hand, and there's things on my hand, and then I looked at Doug, and he had a funny mustache as well. And then he had a funny eyebrow, and the cheese and the dog biscuits, they were all covered in funny things. And then we were horrified because we realized these were ants crawling all over our picnic. The ants had come up out of the ground, and we probably crushed their whole shopping mall underground. So this was very disturbing, but we thought, what can we do? It's their territory, we've killed their shopping mall, let's just enjoy the party together. And that's what we did that afternoon, and it has nothing to do with the story except for, imagine this sound coming from the ornicator is the sound of the ants crawling all over our food at the picnic. Like we were gods, they seemed to be so strong, preoccupied and mad, so busy. A little bit like you said, Doug, like when was the last time you looked up at the stars and realized how small and narrowly focused you really are? So I asked him, is that why dogs howl at the moon? 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 This or that? Yeah, thanks. So I asked him, is that why dogs howl at the moon? Is that why dogs howl at the moon? Then later as we drove together on over the 405. Oh, wait a second. I jumped ahead. Then Doug went down and licked up a few of those ants, leaving a river of spit for the others to contend with. Those others, they just marched around without even a pause of nothing at all had happened. Doug swallowed and said, hey, that's funny, they don't taste at all like my food. Since well they've been eating, you'd certainly think that they would. Yes, you think that they would, I agree. You'd certainly think that they would. When I asked him, well, is that why dogs howl at the moon? 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 Then later as we drove together on over the 405, I saw out on the horizon this line of tiny cars. From Trader Joe's downtown, they stretched all the way into the hills. And I said to Doug, now isn't that funny? What does that remind you of? Isn't it just like those ants moving from your So my answers and it's not where on me go. Top white on top. So my answers and it's not where on me go. Top white on top. So my answers and it's not where on me go. Top white on top. Yeah, okay. Even Germans will howl at the moon sometimes. Thank you very much for joining us.